This is one of those typical Oscar bait movies. I mentioned it like a couple weeks ago. We were talking about it. It has like 300 big actors in it. Even an ex-hockey player turned actor and model, Sean Avery, is in it. He was a former New York Ranger. He's in it for like 5 seconds. It's directed by David O. Russell, who has done other Oscar bait movies, namely American Hustle. He's a great director. He's done Joy, Silver Linings Playbook, The Fighter, I Heart Huckabees, Three Kings. All his movies are bangers, despite the Oscar bait tag that I'm putting on it. But yeah,
I did really like American Hustle for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar bait isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's a movie that you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be nominated for Best Picture, like 100%.
Right.
It'll have a Best Actor.
The cast was crazy in this fucking movie. I mean,
yeah.
Was half the budget of the movie spent on the cast?
Probably.
It was insane. Like every random role was like, oh, this is another S tier character.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I'm actually I don't think I was that interested in this movie, but I was definitely excited to see who they were going to show next.
Harold, I don't know what you think you're doing. Excuse me. Hello. Got a dead white man in a box. Not even a casket. Doesn't even have a top on it. In a pine box of old wood. Who do you think's gonna get in trouble here?
I initially intended to ignore this movie altogether because it doesn't actually have great reviews from critics. And I was a little reluctant when we decided to watch it. I kind of sat down begrudgingly like, oh, fuck, it's going to be over 2 hours and I got to watch this shit.
And it was over 2 hours.
Yeah, but I thought I actually really enjoyed the movie. The thing that I enjoyed the least about it was the amount of actors that were in it. Now, maybe I'm a weirdo, but sometimes for me, I mean, I could see like obviously having a big actor for your like main role or two, fine. But when every single character is like a huge actor or a huge personality in Hollywood, it kind of distracts me from the plot or the movie itself because it kind of becomes what you just described, like, oh, who are they going to show next? Like who?
Yeah.
And there were even some moments when there's like a character revealed where like there's like a slow zoom in on them. It's like, look who it is.
Didn't they do that with
they did it with
Michael Myers' character?
Yeah, they did it with Mike Myers. They did it with Chris Rock's character. They did it with Anya Taylor-Joy, I believe. They did it a couple times throughout.
It's so corny.
After watching the movie, I think that was like part of the quirky comedic nature of the film.
Yeah.
That it almost is like sort of poking fun at itself because it has so many big actors in it. But, you know, this is a quirky comedy in line with David O. Russell's previous movies, which sometimes that itself conflicts with the plot and the message of the movie, I thought. But in the long run, I kind of got over it. This is a story about friendship and love in general. That's pretty much the main story of the movie. But it's about 3 people from vastly differing backgrounds who were brought together by World War I. And they form a bond and discover kind of who they want to be as people by spending time with each other in Amsterdam after the war.
Yeah.
And the story of these 3 characters is set on the backdrop of a conspiracy to overthrow FDR and replace him with a de facto figurehead for a fascist regime led by some of the most powerful capitalists of the era. Not only in the U.S., but in the world. Let's talk about the actors, I guess, fucking gotta go. This is going to take 10 minutes. Christian Bale is our star of the one of the stars of the movie. He's playing Bert Berenson.
I'm going to refer to everybody as their real name and not their
sure, that's fine.
That's fair.
We got Christian Bale as Bert, Margot Robbie as Valerie, John David Washington as Harold. We've got, I said, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Rock's in this, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Taylor Swift, Timothy Olyphant, Rami Malek.
I didn't know Taylor Swift was an actress, to be honest.
Neither did I. Zoe Saldana, fucking Robert De Niro, just everybody you could think of is in this fucking movie. That being said, though, they were all really good in their roles, I thought. I thought the acting in the movie was great, with one exception, and I hope I don't get hate for this, but I gotta say, I am just not a fan of John David Washington.
He's so mid as a actor.
He just has the same facial expression in every fucking role in every movie he's ever done. Like, am I wrong?
Yeah.
It's just always that, like...
The blank stare. Like...
Yes, thank you. Fucking Christ. Like, I don't know what
even
it
in
is.
the Black Klansman or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bro, like, switch it up.
He was in... I thought he was really good in that show Ballers on HBO with The Rock.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He played
Ricky Jarrett.
He played Ricky Jarrett, who was like this football player who was like very full of himself and his riches, and he was like, you know, he was into drugs and drinking and stuff, like all of like the dangerous aspects of being like famous, like a famous sports player, right? Yeah. And he was great in that. But like every movie I've seen him in, it's just like the same, like you said, just blank stare fucking thing.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And in this movie, he's like, "You pulled that metal out of my body. Why do I owe you something? I already gave you the metal out of my body. Bert, we already gave her the metal out of our bodies." It's like, dude, please, like, what's going on here?
I don't really. This is like nepotism at its finest.
You think?
With him, that's what I think.
Well,
I mean, his fucking dad is the GOAT, one of the GOATs.
Who's his dad?
Denzel Washington.
Oh, is he Denzel Washington's son? I never knew that.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, never knew that. I thought Washington was just a common black guy name.
It is.
Isn't that your last name, Mark? No, I'm kidding. It's not.
Yep.
No, I had no idea. And he doesn't really look like him. I mean, I guess now that I'm looking at him, he kind of looks like him.
Yeah, kind of.
You know what? It's probably difficult being like Denzel Washington's son and like living up to those standards. Thank you for enlightening me, because now that I'm looking at him, he looks just like Denzel Washington. So I don't know how I never knew this before. But that being said, he's the only person I actually really just didn't I mean, he wasn't like horrible in the movie, but the standouts to me,
a little tepid.
Christian Bale fucking killed it. And Michael Shannon, as always, fucking killed it. I love Michael Shannon. I think he's one of the best actors in Hollywood. Yeah. But I really did think everybody was really good.
Margot's always good. Like,
she's great.
Always good. So
I just want to do a quick shout out. Talking about 90-year-old actors and shit. I don't know that there's a better actor than Robert De Niro. And
for real though,
you know he's a great actor because we all know Robert De Niro. You've seen him in all his big movies, Goodfellas, Casino, all that shit. Like, you know he's a great actor.
Right.
But it's not until you see him alongside other actors,
the greats,
that you realize like just how
this guy
effortless he's good. Like, he's effortlessly
There's
great.
levels to this, Dan.
You could tell Christian Bale is acting in this movie.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know he's obviously not this person, this half-Jewish Bert from New York guy. But Robert De Niro is just so effortlessly good in everything he does. It's unbelievable how next-level good Robert De Niro is of an actor. I just wanted to say that.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Also, I don't think Chris Rock is a good actor either. I wish he would kind of stop acting.
Oh my God, he's not good. Did you see him in that Saw movie?
I didn't watch that Saw movie. I did see him in the last season of he was in the last season of Fargo, the show, which he was decent in, but he's just really not like, he doesn't really have the acting chops.
He could be decent. Like some of his roles in some of the Adam Sandler movies were all right.
Well, but that's not acting though. That's a movie he's in it with his friends and they're comedians, so they're just riffing off of each other. It's different. It's different.
He was good as a crackhead and
in this, it was like, all right, we need you to be Chris Rock in the 1930s and just talk about how the white man hates the black man. Like, that's his whole thing. He's like, I told you, a white body and a white woman's gonna get 2 black men killed. Like, he was just being Chris Rock almost, like, but just in the 30s.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I mean, whatever. There's something
New
to be
Jack
said
City.
for that. New Jack City. Okay.
The crackhead in New Jack City.
New Jack City. That's
But yeah, I thought all the actors were great for the most part, with a few exceptions. And
what do you think of Taylor Swift?
I mean, she was in it
for
wasn't
on for very long.
Yeah, she was in it for like 30 seconds. I thought it was hilarious when she got ran over.
Yeah,
that shit was so funny.
Timothy Oliphant pushing Taylor Swift under the car is literally my favorite scene.
So
I was laughing, and
I was like, "That's what you get for that fucking. That's what you get for that fucking cover of September, bitch."
Yeah.
And then when they showed it again, later at the end of the movie that they replayed it in a flashback. Laughed again. Hilarious.
You know, I mentioned that this movie's a comedy. Mostly it is a comedy. That there is a moment in the film where it takes a more serious turn. There's a line later in the movie where Christian Bale's shitty wife says to him, says something along those lines like, I knew something terrible would happen to you, or I told you something terrible would happen, something like that. And he says, what a terrible thing to say to anyone, let alone your beloved. And that is the ultimate premise of the entire movie. And it's about like how life is short. and you want to spend it doing the things that you enjoy doing with the people that you enjoy being with. Christian Bale's character Bert is sort of he's a half Jewish, like, poor guy from New York who marries into a rich, powerful family and is kind of at the control of his in-laws and his wife, and they mistreat him.
Yeah.
They send him to World War II.
Send him to war to die.
John David Washington's character Harold is a black man in the 1930s in America who goes to fight for his country.
Awful.
And
sounds completely miserable.
Obviously doesn't get the respect he deserves from his fellow soldiers, white soldiers, though he is also serving his country. So much so that he's forced to wear the uniform of the French forces because the white American soldiers don't want to fight alongside black people. And then Margot Robbie is she's from a powerful family in America that sort of just left because she doesn't want to be a part of that, and she's working as a nurse in France. And she's an aspiring artist. So those are our three major characters. They get embroiled in this little conspiracy theory, which starts with the death of Christian Bale and John's former. He's the man who started their platoon, or whatever you want to call it.
The regiment.
The regiment. But that's pretty much more or less the plot and the story of the film. Remember, plot and story are two very different things. But I wanted to talk about the plot more because I don't know if you guys know this, but this is actually loosely based off of a real life event that is very unknown and lost to history. It's called the business plot. And in the 1930s, there was an actual conspiracy that is now, it's all out in the open. It's not like a conspiracy theory like you would think, to overthrow FDR and replace him with a general, a former general, as the de facto figurehead, because at the time, one of the biggest voter bases were veterans. So they were using this general to sort of, they wanted him to rally veterans to help overthrow, like actually overthrow, like what happened on January, whatever the fuck. Like
January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th. That's like literally what they wanted to do. They wanted to like march up to the fucking White House and like overthrow FDR. And at the time, the general's name was Butler. So Dylan Beck is the character in the movie played by Robert De Niro. He was inspired by Major General Smedley Butler, who helped expose this business plot. And it happened in 1934. He claimed that there was a political conspiracy to overthrow FDR and install Butler as a dictator using a fascist veterans organization. Butler testified under oath that wealthy businessmen in the U.S. first approached him about it in 1933. While nobody was prosecuted, surprise, surprise, the committee's final report was conclusive about the plot. Quote, "There is no question that these attempts were discussed, were planned, and might have been placed in execution when and if the financial backers deemed it expedient. It was scarcely believed at the time, with the New York Times calling the conspiracy a gigantic hoax before it later had to admit that it had been alarmingly true. All those involved denied the existence of the business plot." Now, at the end of the film, you see a side-by-side comparison of the real press conference with the general and Robert De Niro's, and it's line for line.
Wow.
So I actually thought this was a really interesting thing that David O. Russell decided to sort of like explore this, again, very unknown. This is not in textbooks in schools. This is not something that's talked about. I barely knew it existed. And I thought it was interesting that this would be like the foundational element of this movie with like these like, you know, comedic and like wacky, whimsical characters and stuff like that. And that's why I said earlier that I think the comedy elements of the movie almost does a disservice. This is a really important topic, I think, to discuss, especially with what's going on now in the United States. And that's why I brought up the AI and misinformation spreading. Like this stuff that we're seeing, like this rise of like right-wing neo-fascism, not only in the United States, but in a lot of other countries throughout the world right now in 2023, this has been going on for almost 100 years. I mean, I think that had this movie, because again, the critics are like kind of like just writing this movie off and it's silly and this, that, and everything. Nobody's going to really know otherwise what took place, that FDR was almost fucking ousted by force because a bunch of fucking right-wing capitalists wanted
failed,
it out.
So they created the CIA after that and were able to replace presidents a lot easier, a la JFK.
Yeah, exactly. I see a fucking dot on your head right now. Careful, duck.
He said too much.
this plot became a thing because of it essentially happened because of the gold seizure that FDR enacted. This is, of course, during the Great Depression, and one of the things that FDR did to try to stifle the pressures of the Great Depression was the gold seizure, where he had people turn in their gold to sort of help boost the economy. It wasn't really until World War II that the U.S. sort of bounced back from the Great Depression, thanks to the old war economy that we're so used to nowadays. But yeah, like this January 6th, the plot to overthrow the government is nothing new. Like this is just, you know, and again, we don't really talk too much about politics here. Like I throw a snide comment here and there, but we never really get into depth of it. But like the word fascist gets thrown around a lot these days by people who don't really understand what fascism is. But one of the things that I always try to compare to is like a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump did throughout his presidency with like discrediting the media and his opposition and all this stuff. This is just shit that's just straight out of the fucking fascist playbook throughout history. Like,
yeah,
like almost like page for page. And January 6th being just another thing out of that playbook, just way less organized by a bunch of like fucking weirdos who go to Burning Man. It's just crazy that after 100 years, like nothing has really changed. It's
same shit.
So as I slowly started to realize what the plot of this movie was about, I became way more interested, and I actually ended up really enjoying the movie. Not just because of that, but overall, I just think it all came together in a really nice way. And the story, about these three characters, had a really nice message at the end of it. I thought really just appreciating like the true riches of life, of like friendship and love and all that good stuff. Because these characters are obviously stark contrast to the Committee of Five or whatever the conspiracy group was in the movie, who only give a fuck about money. Mm-hmm. And everything they were doing was to protect their riches and their wealth and stuff like that. So, I thought it was a really smart movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that history segment there definitely makes me appreciate it more. So thank you for that, Dan.
Hey, no problem, Marvin. I'm always here for you.
That's what we call a dance plane, folks. I coined that term myself. So.
You did.
I was compelled more by the story arc of the three friends than the conspiracy theory. I like that they tied it in with a real life history at the end, but like the whole conspiracy theory story seemed a little meh to me. I like Margot Robbie's story arc was, I thought, really good in that, you know, she was who she was, and then got all doped up and everything, and then the friends trying to do it all. But it was good flick.
And another little note of truth in this film too was, and this is outside of the conspiracy, Bert and Harold's army unit is actually inspired by a real army unit called Harlem Hellfighters Regiment, and they were a segregated regiment of black and Puerto Rican soldiers who were sent to France to defend the country, only to be forced to serve with the French army as their fellow soldiers refused to serve with non-white soldiers. How would this movie have played out had it not had the comedic elements into it? And there's a lot of obviously like political spy thriller types of films that, and I typically don't really like those, but that's a movie that I think that would have gotten this message across more. Not that it
more serious.
Not that it matters, but by the end of the movie,
this was very quirky. So following like a deep state plot, is not. It's not going to go over as well.
Exactly, and by the end of the film, it's like, you know. That like, I know they did kind of shine a light on it because the whole third act is about this, and then they show the real guy giving his press conference, but I don't think it really lands. Like, I mean, you didn't really even know, Marvin. Like, I don't think it really lands that, oh, this actually fucking happened. So, I don't know. I was kind of wondering what this would have been like, not as a comedy, but I still think it worked for the most part.
Yeah, but then they can't squeeze in Mike Myers and Chris Rock, so I mean...
And Michael Shannon. Don't forget about Michael Shannon.
Yeah, that's right.
Make every type of glass except window glass, unless it's bulletproof glass.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think this is a really good movie. I think it all worked. I thought it was funny at times. It wasn't always funny, but I think for the most part it worked as like its little quirky comedy that it wanted to be. It was serious when it wanted to be. It was wholesome when it wanted to be. And at the end of the day, it has a message to it that, two messages. One is about like the appreciation of like the things that really matter in life, and also the message of, hey, guess what? The fucking shit that's going on now, was happening fucking 80 years ago. It's just now we have social media that's making it worse. Right. So I hope this film gets more love. Like, again, it has a 6.1 on IMDb, and it's not really getting good critical praise, which I disagree with. I hope that more people watch it and enjoy it, just because I think it has those two good messages. One, appreciate the things that matter, and two, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. So, 6.1 on IMDb. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 7 from me. Marvin?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give this. I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6.
Even knowing what you know now?
I'll set it to the Dan standard.
Well,
6.
What I know now, I do 6.5. Actually,
okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
forgot about that.
All right.
I give it a 6. Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. It's got some funny points, but it gets a little blurred at times. And while at the end you learn something, maybe not, but it's just okay. Nothing great, nothing terrible about it.
I felt it was just too long, to be
Fair.
honest. I did enjoy like the Amsterdam session where they were like all the bonding and stuff, and I get why they put that in. I don't know. Yeah. I just wish it wasn't so long, to be honest. That was one of the big things for me. It was pretty funny how Bert was like this glorified super third wheel for them in Amsterdam.
No, I didn't think that. At first I thought like that's where it was going to go, but like, they all just like loved each other. It was just in different ways.
Yeah,
right?
but two of them were like sleeping together, and the other guy was just kind of there chilling while his wife was in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's how friendship was in the 30s. What do you expect? There you have it, folks. Let us know what you think about Amsterdam down in the comments below. If you liked it, let us know. If you didn't like it, let us know. I'm going to link an article talking about the real events of this FDR plot in the comments. There'll be a pinned comment, so check that out if you're interested. It's crazy how it's not actually like talked about in historical context. Like, it's not in textbooks. It's not taught in school. I don't know. It's really weird. But yeah, leave a rating on the video if you liked it. You can click on a playlist right over there to see other movies that we've reviewed, and we will catch you in the next one.
Somewhere.
One of those ways.
One of those ways. See ya.